Howdy, everybody. I'm Dale Mann, and welcome to Open Mic. Our guest today is Mayor Neal Watkins from the town of Iowa. Mayor, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
A lot of questions have been asked since you've been in office, and understandably so. The residents want to know about who the new mayor is. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you make it? How did you start out in life, and how did you end up as the mayor of Iowa?
Well, that's interesting. I'll take you back to my early childhood, and part of what defined me for most of my life. I lost my mother, sister, and brother in a car accident early on, and for years I blamed everything and everyone for not having my parents or my brother and sister. Well, my dad's still alive, but lost my mother and sister and brother. It was a very difficult time. Got out of high school and decided I wanted to try to get into business at some point in time. Met my wife at college. After that, started doing work as I grew up in construction, plumbing, electrical, those type of things. Decided to venture off into a business. When I did, had two partners besides myself, and so there was three of us. I was the worker bee, and of course we had the folks that were minding the books were taking more than they were supposed to. And so that business kind of went down. I tried to continue it on without them, but it was very difficult. I grew up in a poor family, never had money. Still don't have money. But that's beside the point. But so very often through life, as I'd pick up a regular job, work for somebody, and I'd get that itch again to go back into business. And I would say, well, this time I've learned from the last one. And so I'm going to do this and this. And so I went out and decided to do that. I needed help financially, so I'd bring in a partner. And again, me being the worker bee, it was just to the point where it seemed like every time I thought I had the I's dotted and the T's crossed, somebody would throw me a new curve. And so that happened to me a couple times. I said, you know what? I'm going to get involved with somebody from the church. And they had come and asked me and said, hey, I want to help you out do this. So, but anyway, set up a business, and again, we were doing quite well, but then it come to a point where with them, it was more about how much money they could make as opposed to the business succeeding. Any new startup, we all know it takes, a couple years to get it on its foot. But so anyway, had those difficulties, but throughout my life, I had, a lot of the issue, I think, laid with me because I was blaming my fortune in life on what happened to me at a young age. Wasn't until I got into my 40s that I decided to quit playing the victim. And that's basically what it was. I realized the only person that's hurting me is me. At that point, I made a pretty drastic change in the way I started thinking about things. I always voted, was always an independent. I'd voted for, early on in my life, I voted for a couple of Democrats, but pretty much I voted for mostly Republicans when it came to the presidential side. And state, there was a couple of Democrats I thought were pretty good back in the day. But the one thing that I was always taught is character of man. And so that kind of came back to me. And I said, you know what? I'm sitting here watching our country, and I'm seeing some of the things that are going on. And as I progressed through that time after I got out of that victimhood status, I got to a point where people were recognizing the quality of work that I was doing, and they started asking me to come in and do consulting for their businesses. One particular one was in Lake Charles. I won't mention the man's name. You will know him. I don't want to bring up any history with the family and whatnot, but they asked me to come in and help their business. And I found it quite interesting that they would, but because somebody had recommended, I told him, I said, I'll give you 6 months, because he'd asked me for that. And I said, I'll give you 6 months, and I'll see if I can help you. I said, I can't guarantee you, but we were able to take and turn that business around for him. And he went from having to drop money in all the time to then being able to just, it finally satisfied itself with the revenues that were coming in. And then the business, of course, went until he passed. So, great guy, self-made guy, millionaire. So he knew business, but he didn't know that business. And so I was able to help him with that. Left that, went back and was doing my work, working for someone else, which I had came from to help him. And so through that, I started learning a lot more about what I should do instead of relying on other people. And so my development in business didn't really start happening until the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
Because I was too busy blaming everybody from my status or where I was at in life. So short order, COVID shut down a business that I was running in Lake Charles. For a little bit of time, they started making some changes. My beliefs, I felt like I couldn't continue with what they were requesting me to do. So I kindly bowed out of there, took that business from being in a negative, and in 3 years in the first year, we had a positive, and then doubled that business within 3 years. So there was some learning that I did, took it into those businesses and helped them out. I left that, and my choice at that point was to say, okay, I'm tired of seeing the dollars that are being wasted by our government. I can't fix Washington, but maybe I can run for mayor in Iowa, and maybe we can have an oasis here where we can actually work together as a community and pay attention to what we're spending and help all the residents here and just make a better life for all of us. So started a business called Watkins Home Maintenance. Excuse me. And so I just worked for myself and did all of that until the election. I won, and so I'm here.